I like that you started dancing. Welcome, Floresville United Methodist Church. This is Pastor Kelly, and my guest today is...
Oh, Mckenna.
Mckenna! So Mckenna preached for us on Sunday, and she did an awesome job. Everybody clap for her. Yeah, so because I'm really insecure about myself, sometimes what I'll do is I'll like have this plugged in somewhere, and I'll just hit it when I'm feeling bad.
Oh, I love that. Good mood. Serotonin.
So McKenna did a fantastic job on Sunday. And before we get into our conversation, I definitely want you to tell everybody how awkward you feel because you've probably never done this before, right?
It's so awkward. It's just like I'm talking into like a microphone like directly in front of me. Like it is weird. Yeah,
so you're not used to like podcasting, but also like my favorite part about podcasts too is the way we do it is like I'm just staring at you the whole time too, and I'm notoriously known for like I like will look people in the eyeballs, right? Mckenna gets this at youth group all the time where we're talking and somebody will say something and I'll go, oh really, and people run for the hills, so it's great. Okay, so there's another thing you said to me when we first like did our kind of practice and trial. What is happening in your headphones as we're talking?
I can hear like my voice and your voice.
So your voice is coming back to you in your headphones so that you can tell?
Yeah. It's so weird.
I said good. That means you're not a narcissist because you can't stand how you sound. There's like an actual term for that, right? Like you can't stand the sound of your own voice?
Probably. There has to be. There's a word for everything, whether you know it or not, so.
Yeah, like arachnophobia. I hate spiders. They scare me.
I like spiders. They're cool.
Move the mic just a little bit closer to you. Yeah, I know. That's also probably really weird for you, right? So have you ever like sung on a stage or done a voice recording or anything?
When I was like in elementary school.
Okay. So then you're also like, you're not used to the idea that you have to be on a microphone, kind of touching it almost and talking into it.
That's just weird.
I love it. Okay, so again, you did fantastic on Sunday. It was so great to listen to you and what you had to say, and coming at it from my own perspective, right? So like I don't live here, right? So I should just be deferring to you anyway because you've grown up in Floresville and like I'm the imposter or the intruder or the outsider. But that was super cool to hear your heart and your story about how important this church has been for you from like a young person. So real quick, when did you start attending here?
Like when I was 6, maybe even, 6 or 7. I think it was 6, but we were like church hopping, going from like church to church. I have vivid memories of other churches too. I remember like 2 puppets, like a blue and a green one.
A blue and a green one.
I remember puppets.
That's good. Puppets are good. The other thing you said, so there was a joke you kept making in each service, and every time I'd look at your mom to see like how she would like respond, and it was the one where you were like, we showed up for holidays and kind of whenever they felt like it, and she would bristle so hard every time you said it.
She knew I was going to say it, though. She heard me rehearsing. She didn't say anything while I was at the house.
So you did something really important. Anytime you're going to preach, like, because if you ever get to the point where you're preaching, it's really important that if you're going to use a story that people in that room can, like, tie to another person, that you get permission.
I did.
And you did.
I did get permission from everyone.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
I made that mistake.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're not going to go into that because this isn't about me. This is about you. So you started when you were 6. You guys were kind of church hopping. And then is 6-ish when your family became members here, or?
I actually don't know when we became members. I think that's like just when like we just started coming here. I don't think we became members till like me and my grandpa started showing up like every Sunday.
And so I'll like level with you too. The member thing has always been super weird to me. But Kelly, you're a Methodist pastor and da-da-da-da. Like, true, but I'm always like, if you want to go be a part of a church, just go to the church and participate in what they're doing. in Methodism, our membership thing is more about your commitment to a local place. Yeah. But that's super cool. Okay, so my first question for you is, how important was the church for you as a young person?
Oh, it was super important. I mean, like, growing up the way I did, it's like, I don't know, it was just really important because it was like always something there for me, and it was like a routine kind of. Mm-hmm. So it was like always there, and it never went away. So I thought that was really cool.
Cool. So there was like some structure there for you.
Yeah.
It was a place for you to go that you would be received well. And I know that you're like the dream for everybody that ever goes to a church, where not only do you like attend, but you want to be involved in other stuff. So tell everybody a little bit about what parts of the church you've been involved with as you've been here since you were 6.
I've been involved in a lot. Kind of like just like a little bit of everything. So like youth group, helping Sunday school. I've done VBS. Kind of just a little bit of everything, I think.
That's awesome. So there's something that I didn't prep you for in our pre-conversation. Yeah. I just do this because I fidget. But people like who heard you talk on Sunday or who attend this church might not know this about you. And you wearing a camp shirt reminded me of this. Spoiler alert, I was wearing that exact shirt when I got my finger caught in that fence. I didn't get any blood on the shirt, though. That was last youth camp. Won't happen again at the next one. But so you have also been very involved with Lavernia United Methodist Church and helping with camp. How did that kind of happen?
Well, I'm on a council of YMC with like Abby, Courtney, and then Philip, I think was on. I don't really know that. But no, so I just kind of like became like friends, and I guess like showed a lot of responsibility, and like he was like, yo, you want to help with like BSCIT? And I was like, yeah, sounds fun. I can't sit still. Like I have to be helping. I have to do something with my time.
So this is torture for you. Should I have gotten you like a fidget spinner or something?
I'm playing with my rings all good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm the same way. Like you've noticed it, right? Like I talk with my hands.
I do
People are like,
too.
that's because you're Italian. I'm like, no, it's because
I can't sit still.
I gotta move. No, it's super cool. So like, I think there's an important thing that's really interesting there. So you came here, you participated in the life of this specific community, right? And because of the opportunities and the other things you got to get plugged into, there was other places of value and other relationships that got created that weren't necessarily just directly attached to here specifically. Yeah, that's super cool. That's the dream scenario, by the way. When like me, people who do youth ministry, so we want everybody connected.
Yeah.
And as Methodists, that's the other thing that's really important is that your relationships to the Methodist Church aren't just directly connected to your local context, but also, and youth is great about that. Okay, so I'm going to keep saying this to you, by the way. I'm like, totally didn't prep you for this question, but, maybe I could just do this. Well, I'm going to ask you something I didn't. So you're now a senior. You're graduate, or did you graduate already?
No, I'm graduating June 4th.
June 4th. Oh, yeah, that's right. You said that.
It's a really late graduation.
Right. That's gross.
It really is.
Why is that? Why so late?
Well, I think the way like I've heard it is like they didn't want it to like interfere with local graduations in Dallas because I have to go up to Dallas. So like I'm gonna be gone for like a couple days. So. Yeah.
Yikes! I'm gonna be for annual conference, so I think I'm preaching that weekend. Yeah. Because the 4th is like a Friday.
The 4th is a Saturday.
Saturday, that's right. Yeah, I should know this because I'm preaching on the 5th here. But then that next week, I have to drive up to...
McAllen?
Yeah, for annual conference, which you're probably going to as well.
I'm going to it.
Okay. See, like one of us is the pastor and one of us is just the guy who's involved. So that's super cool. So part of your story here and part of really important core foundational spiritual things for you totally didn't happen because of COVID.
No.
Because how long was the hiatus for Floresville when COVID hit? Because youth kind of it's not that y'all dissolved, but it kind of just stopped for a bit?
Yeah, it stopped for a bit. We did youth group on Zoom, I think, for like a month, 2 months, and then it kind of just stopped. I stopped going to church and everything. I think it was like, for me, it was a little different. I think for me, it was like a year, I think, but I don't know for Floresville exactly. I don't remember.
So that was sophomore year.
Sophomore year, yeah. Because I just got back from visiting my brother, and then like the whole world shut down. It was crazy. It was perfect timing for us, though.
Yeah. And then I'll never forget when we were talking about me coming on, and I came on for that meeting with the board, and you were like all excited, and you were like, Kelly, what would you do to like grow our youth group?
Yeah.
And I looked you in the face, and I said, I don't know, Mckenna, what do you think we should do? And you were like, I don't like him.
I just wasn't prepared. I prepare for a lot of things, and I just wasn't prepared.
Yep, and that was the end of the optimism of. What is Pastor Kelly known for? I don't know. What do you think? I do this to youth group all the time. So that's really interesting to me too, because there's, that's the beginning of being an adult. Right, where like if I was here then, it would have been like, hey, Mckenna, like, do you want to like do this? Do you want to run this? And then like we really got kicked off and started your senior year, which is essentially like, hey, Mckenna, just like come hang out when you want. We'll talk. You could be a part of the conversations, but like you have so much other stuff going on that I'm not gonna like run things for me, right? So even then too, like. I don't think you got the opportunity to really like build a foundation to hand off to the people behind you. It kind of.
I mean, I feel like I got a little bit of it in a way because like I've been here for so long, that, like especially with like Sunday school and things like that. Like there's kind of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna get to that too. So I think for youth, you didn't really get to do that because. Yeah. And you've also like so in your tenure here, your tenure. How many youth pastors and youth workers? There's been like 3 switches?
I don't think we've ever had like an official youth pastor. I think it's just been youth directors. But I could be wrong about that.
And how many of those have you gone through? They left not because of you, by the way.
I think like either 2 or 3.
Man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So in the span of 12 years, because you're 18 now, right?
I'm not 18.
You're 17.
Yeah, 17.
Okay, so in the span of 11 years in youth, you've been through, am I 3 or 4?
You're either 3 or 4. I can't remember.
So one of them, so I'm good. She remembers me, y'all. But one of you wasn't. I'm just kidding. So that's, excuse me. So that's like every 4 years, there's like some monumental shift. Yeah. Which then there's like a lag behind that to get it started and up and running. That's crazy. Okay. So let's talk. So we've talked a little bit about where you've come from, where you started. Now let's talk a little bit about college, because you are going to go to college. Uh-huh. Freaking out yet?
Maybe just a little bit.
Let's start here. What are you most excited about?
Kind of just like going to a new place.
Okay.
That's about it. Getting out.
You're like, I'll know when I get there, okay?
No,
like,
exactly. That's my plan. I don't know, probably the library.
That is poster Mckenna. What are you excited about? I don't know. Find out when we get there. Cool. Okay. So you're also going to stay on campus, which is a huge change for you.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to do your own laundry.
I already do my own laundry.
Okay. Yeah. You cook your own food too, right?
Yeah, I cook my own food.
Yeah, you can cook. Okay. So you're already like 99.9% more prepared than everybody else. And then what are you going to school for?
I have no clue. I'll figure it out eventually.
We'll find out when we get there.
Exactly,
It's whatever club they invite you into. You're like, sure, I would love to be an interpretive dance.
No, not interpretive dance. Clearly haven't seen me dance.
So Do you have any kind of clue or idea of like at least basics? You're going to start there.
I was thinking like a major in education, but now I'm like not so sure.
Okay, well, my notes are going down. Let's talk about that. So you were thinking originally education, and what shifted?
Well, I don't know. I just kind of like realized like it's not exactly what I wanted to do because like I love kids. I love being around kids. But like me teaching kids is a whole different story. Like, yeah, I can spend time with them. Yeah, I can be their buddy. But like to make them like actually listen and learn something, like that's just not my thing. I guess like it's
you're the cool aunt, not the mom.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can take care of a kid, like hang out with a kid, make sure like they eat, sleep, whatever. But like I can't teach them math or like proper sentences.
Yeah, that's interesting. I still don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm just kidding. Aren't you a past? Yeah, I'm good. I figured it out finally. Okay. We got time, right? Because you can go, and how long do you have? Well, you have to declare a major.
So technically, the way my school works is we had to pick a major, but like we can change it later on. So I picked education, but I'm probably gonna change it.
Okay.
Because like later on you can change it, like if you really want to. But like the first year for like them to start getting like your pre-classes or whatever,
your pre-reqs.
You have to take. You have to take it like your freshman year. So I had to put something down in order to like register for classes. So I was like, just put education. I can change it later if I really want to.
Yeah, that's
a degree is a degree.
Yes. No, that's cool. So it's funny, we were having this conversation with little Kelly the other day. He was like, Dad, you know what I want to be? I'm like, what? He was like, I want to be an astronaut. I'm like, okay, well, let's start doing this then. He's like, this is a lot of work. I said, yeah, it's the astronaut. It's a lot of work. He's like, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm like, okay, cool. Glad I totally crushed your hopes and dreams. But yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting to talk to you a year from now.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because you'll have made it through your first year of college. You'll probably get really good grades, so you won't have like any but you'll have to deal with all the social anxiety stuff of like meeting new people. And are you in a dorm?
Yeah, I'm having 3 roommates, I think. I have like, it's insane.
Okay, so do you have to share a room with somebody?
I'm sharing a room with someone, and then like all of us are sharing like everything else. But I'm sharing like a room with one person, and then like there's like a little area, then like another room, and then like the door.
Okay, so there's like one bathroom, one shower. Mm-hmm. There's like a common area. Does it have a kitchen?
No kitchen.
No kitchen.
We're gonna have to bring like a microwave and stuff.
Okay. And then your own bed and desk.
I think I'm sharing a desk too. I'm pretty sure. I work on the floor though, so I'm not gonna have a problem. They can have the desk if they want.
That's awesome. Man, that's gonna be really interesting. That's the other thing too, like not to freak you out, but like that transition is one of the hardest things because it's one thing to like be friends with people and have them stay at your house for like a night.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different thing to like share your really intimate living space with another human being.
I mean, I used to share a room with my sister, so like it can't be too different from that.
Yeah, but you could always go to your mom when your sister was being a brat. I mean, you love your sister and you guys always got along and you never fought about anything ever. Yeah, you can't be like, Mom, my roommate at college is being a turd. I'll be praying she doesn't snore.
There's headphones for a reason.
Yeah, there you go. That's cool. I'm glad you're excited about it. I'm really interested to hear from you because I'll be bugging you at some point. I'll be like, Mckenna, when did it all hit you? Like the oh, I'm an adult and I'm at college and I'm not at home anymore.
I don't think it's ever gonna hit me because it hasn't hit like any of my siblings yet, and they're like, oof, off in a way.
It'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear about that from you. So, already wanting to change our major. Prereqs. Gonna live in a living space with 3 other people. You have to share one of those spaces with one person. That's cool. that'll be an adjustment, but you'll do fine. So something you said on Sunday that I thought was really important for me, and this is more from the perspective of not a pastor, but as a dad. So like my son's 6. And so because I'm a pastor, like he's going to grow up in and around the church, right? But you said something that I thought was really cool. You said that some of the most important relationships in your life came from this church specifically. Expand.
Well, I made my best friends in this church, or like I've gotten to know more people in this church, like because like I'm online schooled since, what was it? I think it was like half of 6th grade. Yeah, because half of 6th grade is when I became homebound, so then 7th grade. So like 7th grade-ish is like when I started like physically coming here. So like that was like my social interaction. So I kind of just like made connections with people. Like that's why I feel like I get along with little kids so well, is because like that's how I spent my time. And like with adults, so like I'm great with like talking to adults and like little kids. So.
That's awesome. That's super cool. Yeah, it gives me hope that my son won't just be like all the people my age that I know that are like super over the church. They're like, it's so boring here. There's nothing to do. And then there's you like.
We just have to find things to do.
Yeah.
Like you have to find your own entertainment.
That's what I tell myself all the time. Because I'll be sitting and I'll be like, I need something to play with. I'm so bored. What can I do? No, that's super cool though. And like, I think that's one of the coolest things about this church is that you have this story of you started when you were young, excuse me, and it's just been a really formative but good, positive experience for you. So here's a question that's probably tough. I told you I was going to do it because I didn't prepare. I'm just thinking of things. So are you taking your car to college?
I think so.
Okay. So, I mean, is your plan to come home on the weekends?
You know, I've talked about it, and like my plan is like to at least come home for like Sunday dinners with my family, because that's the thing we do every week is like Sunday dinners with like my grandpa, like my brother comes. Like,
yeah.
So like that's the plan, is like I'm not gonna dedicate and say yes for sure, but like the plan is like sometimes.
So that's code for a month that'll happen, and then you'll be like, I got too much homework. I can't.
Yeah, no,
I can't.
I already looked at like some of the things from like that are like previews, so I'm like, I'm gonna need to study so much. I need to make time to study.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've considered this yet. Pastor Kelly, stop. But so this was such a formative place for you. This has been such a good space for you. This is where currently your friends are, right? And you're about to live in a totally different place with a bunch of strangers and be in a pretty like not impossible place. Like you're smart and you're capable. So like you're going to do great. But that community aspect that you're used to and the rhythm of that is not going to be there.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan as to like what you're going to connect to? And
well, like my plan more or less is just kind of like go there and hope for the best and like hang out in the library and like, because I was talking about it to my mom and she's like, just like hang out where like you want to hang out, and then like you'll find your people. Because like she was like, you're going to find your people in like a coffee shop reading a book you like. Like it's going to be one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so I'm going to talk about a student I had at a previous gig I worked at. You are normal compared to this person. You're a bit quirky. It's what part of your charm.
Thank
like
you.
the cows and the cow stuff everywhere. Like, where's Mckenna? And I'm like, look for the cow. Mckenna wears cow everything all the time. Yeah. So you got a thing. You got a cow thing.
But they were dirty.
Right. So, but she's incredibly quirky. Into, I don't say odd in like a negative way. I mean, just like I knew when she went to college that like the group of people that she would bond with was a very small, very specific type of people that, because she's into like a bunch of random, weird, quirky stuff. And she found them, but she didn't find them right away. She found them essentially by doing what she was interested in. But it was really her roommates, and then it was around her academics.
Yeah.
And her clubs. And so don't worry, there'll be no shortage of like freshman orientation day where everybody's like, come join our club.
Yeah.
And you'll be bombarded by
people.
Yeah, which I don't, that's not your.
It's like, I'll talk to people, but like, I don't like a group of people just like coming up to me, like in my face. It's like, I would rather approach them or like have like 2 people approach me, not like 5,000 people.
Do you know your Lord and Savior Jesus? You're like, leave me alone.
I do.
Yeah, I do. Thanks. You want to talk about him? Like, I know him. Yeah, so I'm excited too. Like that's, cause like it's, okay. I'm looking cause I'm going to get in trouble here. Okay. As somebody who's worked in youth ministry for 15 years. Okay. Ish. 15, 10, 12, whatever it is. It's a blur. It's full of pain. I'm just kidding. No. There are people when they graduate that I'm like, oh no. I'm like, oh no. I mean, I love you and I'm praying for you and I hope it goes great, but I'm like, oh no, this is, they're not ready. You are absolutely ready.
Yeah, I've been told that.
Like you're going to go and I'm going to be like, all right. I know it's going to go well. I think it'll be bumpy at times because that's normal, but like you're going to be, I'm not worried about you at all. Now, if something happens and you come back, I'll be like, uh-oh, I totally misread that one.
We'll find out when we get there. Or if we don't get there, we'll never know.
I need that on a soundbite to put on here. Like in the sound bank on here of like, no, I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. There needs to be like a branded shirt thing. Okay, so there's something else you said Sunday that I thought was really cool. So you talked about the kiddos, Kids Wing, and I believe your direct quote was, you learned the most in that room with those kids.
Yeah.
Walk me through that.
Well, it's just like every week, like the teacher, I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name. You
could say her name.
Okay, Miss D, so she goes through like the lessons or whatever, and it's always like, just like hearing what the kids have to say in their aspect on it. It's like so eye-opening because like I'm used to like people my own age, like who having similar experiences-ish compared to like little kids who are in like a completely different time of life, and like hearing their version of like how they understand it or interpret it.
Right.
It's just like eye-opening, and like that's the best word I use can describe it because like it's just it just goes through it.
That's really cool. Was there ever times in that room where a kid would say something that you said the same exact thing when you were their age?
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
There's been a few times. Actually, it's really weird too. It's like I'll be sitting there and then I'll be like, oh, I thought this, and like they'll say the exact same thing. And I'm like, are you a mind reader? Like I swear they can read my mind sometimes.
Yeah, kids are scary.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they're very like it's the best, right? When they're like super aware of something and you're thinking like, oh, you're 7, you have no clue, and then they say the thing and you're like,
yeah.
Dude,
Exactly.
chill out. Yeah. That's super cool. Okay, so I would love to hear, like, not your favorite story because that's not fair because you probably have a ton. But what's like probably your top 2?
Oh, top 2.
Or two of your top.
That's so hard. There's so many. I would have to say probably one of the times we were playing freeze tag outside and I got tackled. The kids tackle me during games sometimes. Like, it's not an abnormal experience for me to get tackled. But there was just this one time we were playing freeze tag and like it was just me left and like one kid, and he just looks me straight in the eye and just runs for me, and I just get tackled, and I'm like, well, there we go.
So he made eye contact with you as he laid you out?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was just, yeah.
That's super funny. Okay, give me another one.
Oh, there's so many. Probably when we did an obstacle course in the Sunday school room.
Go on. I want to hear about this.
So, like, we put, like, a broom, like, in between, like, the chairs. Like, you know how, like, the chairs have, like, little holes in them? So, like, we put, like, a broom through it, and, like, we had them, like, limbo under it, because, like, I didn't want them jumping over it. Like, why would we have a kid jump over it?
Good call.
We were just like, no. So, like, then we had them, like, go around, like, the chairs. Like, it wasn't, like, a hard obstacle. It was, like, a safe obstacle course. And so or we had them go underneath that, but I don't know. They were just all very happy because it was raining outside, so they couldn't go outside. They were just yo, this is fun. And we also had I forgot, we had a movie playing. I think it was I don't know who it was. I think it was Jonah.
Mm-hmm.
We have the little Bible movies, and it was Jonah playing, and it was raining outside, so I found that very funny. Cause water in the sea with the whale, and then the rain, and then an obstacle course. I don't know. It's just very chaotic but fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, I got a story that I haven't shared at youth group, but I'm going to share with you, youth worker to youth worker. So I worked at a really large church in San Antonio for a bit, and there was this kids wing, and in the kids wing there was this back room, and I was in charge of games for a summer camp. And so we had 60 kids in this room. And so my dumb brain thought it would be really fun to have zombie tag.
Oh no.
Now, it was fine until there were 2 kids left. Mm. And then what I didn't realize was that at some point, and these kids are all they're all 7 and up. So it's between 7 and it's middle school. So it's 7 to...
Wait, 7 years old or 7th
I'm
grade?
sorry. So it was 5th grade up. So it wasn't high school. So there wasn't any huge kids in there. I mean, some of them were huge. But it was between 7 and 11, right? And so what I didn't calculate for was that at some point, because the way you played the game, right? So we designated zombies. Mm-hmm. And so you'd be a zombie and you'd have to drag your leg and tag people. And that just sounds funny and quirky, right?
Yeah.
But what you don't realize is that when there's 1 kid left and they're in the corner and there's 40 people doing that at you, it's kind of scary.
Oh, yeah, no, I would be terrified.
So there was a kid screaming, trying to climb the wall. And I was oh no, this was a bad idea. I was oh no. And so I felt really bad. But after the game, the kid was fine. But I was
oh, that's so sad.
I remember, so you ever made a game and then the kids started playing it and nobody got hurt, but you were oh no, that probably wasn't.
I don't think I've ever had that happen to me.
Nah. I could have seen the lion game that you made go really badly.
What lion game?
Where they had to tape the stone to your...
David and Goliath?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, David and Goliath.
I didn't come up with that though, so...
Yeah, for me, anything that involves paper in my eyes, I
closed I think I had my glasses on now that I'm thinking about it. I think I had them
They like you.
Yeah.
Because I would have gotten punched in the face.
No, they were very gentle too. They mostly just ended up in my hair, but I also have extremely long hair.
Yeah, you do.
And at the time it was even longer because it wasn't cut. And so they were just in my hair.
That's yeah, so you play safe, good games, and I play games where kids get eaten by zombies. It's great. So, has there ever been a time in that room where a kid said something and it really stuck with you?
Oh.
Because I know it's happened before.
Yeah, I just can't remember. Oh, why can't I remember?
It's good. You can take your time.
Oh. I know there is, but I don't know why I can't think of any right now.
That's totally okay.
There has to be, because I know there was. I was thinking about it the other day, but
Well, you said that that's happened in there. I think that's what's so tough, right? Is as a person who also loves working with little kids, they say so much stuff, and for me, it's always the moments that I'm talking about are always the ones where I'm completely caught off guard. Not because, and you're cool. You're cool.
Thank you.
So you and I aren't in the room going, they're kids, they don't know anything. You're not caught off guard because you don't expect them to say something awesome. But it's literally God possesses the body of a child and then they say something to you and you're
yeah, no, it's what?
God, is that you? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, there has to be. Why can't I think of any?
It's okay.
Yeah, my brain is just not working, apparently.
Okay, then another opportunity I want to give you is one of your favorite moments from camp.
Oh, favorite moments from camp. Oh, there's so many.
Just rattle them off. Good.
Okay.
You're good.
Well, there was one time we were canoeing, really random. Me and my friend were canoeing or kayaking, and like a toad or like a frog jumped in, and so like it like or like she was freaking out because she was behind me and I didn't know what was happening, and she said like it jumped on my back, and I thought it was her paddle, and like we like tipped, but like we didn't tip over because like I saved us, and that was really cool. I also really like worship and stuff like that's really fun.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish we had here. If we had
So
the staff or the personnel to like lead worship for youth group.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm same as you. Love worship at camp.
I also really like the small group time. That's really fun for me because like I get to talk to everyone and like just like hear different people's opinions, because I like hearing people's opinions on things because like everyone is so unique, and I feel like that's just like when it really brings it out, especially when it's like a comfortable environment, because like half the time like it's really hard to get everyone comfortable enough to share.
Yeah.
And so like when everyone's like comfortable enough, like that's just like amazing to me.
Yeah. So and I think too, like something I've noticed about you too is like you're never like put me in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That's not like your jam.
Oh, I hate
it doesn't mean you couldn't do it, but like that's not your jam, right? I've always, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, tell me if I'm wrong, but the way that I've always seen you operate since I've been here has been you want everybody to be comfortable and good and have a good time, and then you're just like ready for the ride.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. And so what you're talking about, I think, is so interesting too, because my favorite part of all the things I get to do, I had this conversation with a friend of mine the other day, a couple weeks ago, is like, I love this. Like, I love just talking with somebody, and like, I've learned things about you today that I didn't know. Like, I had no idea you hadn't declared for your major yet. Like last time we talked, it was education. I was like, okay, cool. You should be great at that. And then you're like, I didn't know you were going to have to share your living space with a roommate, and that you were kind of at some point going to be like, hey, that's nice, but I can't drive back every week because, gas is expensive.
Gas is extremely expensive.
Yeah. And so I just love getting to know how people tick. And then the other thing that you said that I really value about you is this willingness to get to understand other people's perspective and why they think what they think.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one thing I'm really excited about for you with college is I'm glad that's been your experience here. I hope, and I'm relatively positive, that you're going to find groups of people like that, and you're going to love that.
Yeah.
Enjoy college because it is a finite amount of time, but that you're going to get to go be around other people who also want to learn like you're learning, and you're going to have so many good conversations, Mckenna. Like, you're just going to have a blast. It's going to be great.
I hope so. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, avoid the crazy people. but I'm pumped for you in that, because I think just having kind of how I watched you participate here, right? Because our youth group is such a weird dynamic of you've got you, and then we've got all the way like down here of like, I don't mean down here in a bad way. I mean down here in age. Like we've got 11 and 12, right? 10. Right? So like the conversations you want to have are probably not conducive to have with, right? Which maybe that's what I'll do this week is I'll make somebody take the younger kids and I'll take the older kids, because that's my group. Could you tell? I want to have like the gray area questions, and all the littles are like, make it make sense. And I'm like, life doesn't make sense. Deal with it.
Facts.
No, that's super cool. Okay. So, let's circle back, because you had some time to think. Let's circle back to a time a kid said something that just like blew your mind, and you were like, what?
They were talking about, what did they say? They were talking about like Jonah and him getting like spit out of the well, or not whale, whale, like W-H, not W-E.
Lassie and Timmy, and somebody fell down the well.
Yeah, no, he was talking about, and he was like, well, is that how it works like with everything in life? Like the bad things, like can't you just like spit them out? It's like, it was the weirdest thing, but like I don't remember like exactly what he said.
Yeah.
But he was like, well, can't you just like anxiety and stuff, like can't you just like spit it out? like kind of like all the bad stuff in life. Like why can't you just like get rid of it? Like it can't be that hard. And I'm like, like it made so much sense coming from his mouth, and I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
He was like, just like get rid of it. Like it can't be that hard. Just like I know like you have stuff going on. But, like why can't you just like get rid of it? And he did like the hand motions of like a basketball too. It was amazing. Exactly.
That's awesome. You're like, I can't recover from this. That's super cool. Let's see. I want to give you a story. Thank you for sharing that. That's super cool. I'll tell you what about Kelly. So apparently Jesus visits my son in dreams sometimes. And so I'm me. So I was like, what color was he? You know what Kelly said? Not white. I was like, good. That was Jesus then. But we were walking at the apartment complex, and we were taking out the trash. And so I was like, hey, bud, how are you and Jesus doing? He's like, we're good. He comes to me in my dreams sometimes. And I'm like, and he's just like, yeah, Jesus like comes to my dreams and we hang out. And I'm like, well, what? I'm like, Jesus, come to my dreams too, please. Like, I want to talk to you too. Like, what is this? And he's just like all nonchalant, right? Right? Like, kid's like, oh, I talk to God all the time. Yeah, God like comes in my bedroom and we hang out. And you're like, what? So we're talking, and I'm like, oh yeah? I said, what did he look like? He was like, well, not white, kind of like darker skin, but also not like super dark. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like, what did you and Jesus talk about? And he was like, well, you know how much I love Spider-Man? And I'm like, uh-huh. And he's like, well, like Jesus being my friend and like loving Jesus and believing Jesus kind of gives me superpowers. And then like God like helps me do things. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like tearing up. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, yeah, you know, so like, Dad, you know how like the world is like this broken place where like sin's a thing? He's 6.
Yeah, no.
And he's like, you know how we got to like love people? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, Jesus helps me have superpowers so that like we can go love people because we need to love them, right? And I'm like,
wait, that's so sweet.
What the heck is going on? Yeah, I'm like a mess. And I'm like, what is this? And he's like, yeah. And then so he turns around and he starts walking away from me because we've done the trash and we're about on the path. And I'm like behind him a little. And I'm like, Kelly, like, does Jesus tell you he loves you? And he's like, all the time, Dad. And then we just walk inside and I'm like, this is like, y'all, Kenna, look at the camera with me. You guys need to hang out with kids, okay? Kids are cool.
Kids are really
They're better than us. No, you're also like, youth group is great. Hang out with youth group. Youth group is great too. But just like you, like I love the, it's like they have, when they have no filter.
Yeah.
Right? They just say what they're feeling.
They just say things that come out. And it's like, wow.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And
it really does.
That's super cool. Okay. Well, we are about near the end.
Coolio.
I want to hear your closing thoughts. What are the last things you want to share on your last podcast ever here?
Also, the first podcast ever here. I don't know. You prepared me for this question too, and I have no clue.
Yeah, that's why I didn't hit the button.
Yeah. I don't know. Adios. Bye-bye.
I love it. Well, Mckenna, it's been great having you. In the limited amount of time I've gotten to know you, it's been a blast and a blessing for me. Super proud of you. Super excited to hear about what God's doing in your life, but also what God is going to continue to do in your life. And really excited to hear about the journey you're on and as things continue for you. Okay?
Okay.
Anything to close?
Nah, I don't know.
Once I hit the button.
You hit the button, I'm good.
All right, this is Pastor Kelly.
Oh, and Mckenna.
I'll see you on the next one.